Good evening, my friends. Anthony Fontana, Alive After 5. I'm very happy to say we finally have a signed bill. The Covid19 coronavirus relief bill has been signed by the president at around 4 o'clock today. There's a lot in this bill that I've tried to condense down as best as I can. And to be honest with you, there is so much information that there is no way I can actually cover all of this now in one live. It's just not possible. And I'm not going to, because some of this stuff is nothing that you need to even hear about, at least from my circle of influence, quite frankly. So if there's anything in it that I think is something apropos to you, or you want to have some more information or a one-on-one conversation with me, I'm available to speak the entire weekend. You all have my number. If you don't have it, inbox me. I'll be happy to give it to you. I have an appointment sign-up page that I use for everything that I can post here, and you can just book an appointment and get on my calendar for a few minutes. So let's just go through some of the things that I've been talking about before this actually was finalized that I thought would come true. I'm going to have to use glasses because writing things down is impossible for me right now. All right, so let's talk about mortgage forbearance first. I think this is the biggest one. Hi, Lori. I'm not gonna respond to people posting here because I got to focus on that. But I will at the end of this try to reach out to everybody. So mortgage forbearance. This is extremely important. So borrowers of government-backed mortgages can request up to a 360-day. You heard that right. 360-day payment forbearance. Now, I don't have the specifics on that just yet, and I don't think any bank is going to just blanket just do that. That's going to be a process, and I've been saying this all week between you and your servicer. You need to get them on the phone. I know Bank of America sent us an email that they are looking to give all of their borrowers a 90-day forbearance. We're just going to make a phone call. Now, will it be 90 days, one a month? And will they extend it 90 days? And yet in other states, they might only be giving 30 days. I don't know. I'm hearing people getting different feedback, but I have an actual email from them that states just that. Now, will they continue that up to a year out? I find that incredible. I also find that to be amazing if they can do it. So call your servicer. That's the most important thing. Now, proof of hardship is not necessary. There's not going to be any additional fees, interest, or penalties on the forbearance. And except for an abandoned or vacant property, there will be no foreclosure actions for 60 days beginning March 18th. And we said that on Monday. So March 18th, April, May. So sometime toward the end of May, they will start kickstart foreclosure proceedings again, but that, I believe, will also stop because at the state level, at the county level, judges don't have to hear those cases. They can simply dismiss them outright or ask for extra paperwork. And, let's be realistic. A lot of these foreclosures are not going to happen. I don't think any bank wants to be in the news foreclosing on grandma and grandpa because they missed a few mortgage payments. So depending on what state you're in, that's the way that's going to be. The stimulus bill, obviously this creates some liquidity issues for mortgage lenders. So I think the Fed is creating some sort of vehicle that can be tapped to help servicers with liquidity issues. Because let's be realistic, everyone needs cash flow. Your servicer needs to pay their employees. If you're not paying your mortgage, they're not getting paid by the original mortgage company that issued the loan, and they're not being paid by the holders of that paper. So they need to pay their employees. They need to pay for their buildings, their real estate, their lights, their electricity. So not everybody's going to need to do this, and not everybody's going to do this. But my people, I want you to know about it. Very important. Now, for credit reporting, these apply from January 30th to 120 days or to the end of the national emergency, which probably will continue at least to the end of the year. So 120 days, 4 months from January 30th. So we're looking at February, March, April, May, end of May. If a furnisher provides an accommodation and the customer makes payments or no payments required, then they're going to report you as on time. If the customer is delinquent before the accommodation but brings the account current, then the furnisher, which means the creditor, must state to the bureaus that you're current. So if you're suddenly late, You get an agreement to fix it, but they've already reported you. They got to reverse that out and make you current. That's important right there for credit reporting purposes. Not just mortgages, but credit cards, I believe. It's not clear, but I believe credit cards are applicable here. And they, anything that's, if there's a written off account, those status will be maintained. They're not going to turn those back on and start coming after you, but don't worry about that. Nothing's going to change there. So I think credit reporting is important because people are worried if I miss a credit card payment, I'm going to be late. They're going to report me and other credit cards are going to start folding on me. That's not going to happen. But if you don't make those phone calls, don't assume everything is hunky-dory. If you don't make the calls, it's your fault. Make the phone calls, get on their delinquency list or get on the list of people that need forbearance on credit cards, mortgages, second liens, things of that nature, and car payments, all of that, and put yourself out there and make sure you're protecting yourself. So that's incredibly important. All right, so I'm not going to get into these things. Loan modifications resulting from this won't qualify as troubled debt. Now, I do a lot of modifications as part of my business. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot more over the coming 12 months. They're not easy to do and not easy to get. I have a 100% track record on every one that I've submitted. I always get them approved. But the thing of it is, if you're delinquent from March 1st to December 31st, guess what? You're not going to qualify. It's not going to qualify as troubled debt. In other words, they're not going to report you as a bad debt. I think that's fantastic. That's going to be an amazing thing. So things like broadband. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm not going to really talk much about affordable housing, but under the affordable housing, if you're a realtor, this is pretty cool stuff. There's 1.25 billion for voucher rental assistance for seniors, disabled, and low income, $5 billion to help communities address COVID-19. There's all kinds of provisions in here for various types of housing, owners of multifamily properties that are current on their mortgages and are federally insured or assisted or supplemented, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, any loans backed by any branch of the federal government. They can request forbearance also for 30 days due to the financial hardship, for extensions up to 90 days. So if you're an investor and you have investment property, you actually can participate in the forbearance situation. Anybody receiving forbearance cannot evict or charge late fees to anybody that is one of their tenants. So behave yourselves as landlords if that happens to be you. There is still a moratorium on evictions. There's no fees or penalties for tenants for non-payment of rent for 120 days on properties that are insured or guaranteed by any federal guaranteed or insured or backed loan. So again, most of the loans in the country fall under this provision right there. So it's very, very important right there. There's some payroll protection programs under the SBA. I'm not going to get into those right now. If you have a business and you connect with me, give me a call this weekend and we can chat about your individual situation. I don't have any clients that have 500 or more employees, or even those with more than a dozen, to be real honest with you. I only deal with small business, so there's that. So I think it's very, very important to do this. Now, student loans are suspended. All payments are suspended on student loans for 6 months. I think that's fantastic. Interest will not accrue on any of those loans. Loan forgiveness, loans will be deemed paid during the forbearance. It prohibits negative reporting on credit. But again, make that phone call or go to your services website. I think some of the services are creating a thing where you can click a button. I think I posted this earlier. You can click a button and get signed up for the administrative forbearance. Like, you don't have to actually speak to somebody. Their lines are probably going to be jammed over the coming days, but do try. Check out their site. I'm sure they're putting posts up on what to do and how to do it. And I'm also sure that they're automating the process, because it's unbelievable if they don't, to be real honest with you. There's not that many services, and there's 35, 40 million borrowers. It's going to be out of control. So I think that's going to be happening. So on the tax side, I think this one, everyone's asking me this on how this works. Everyone is going to get, if you're a single person and you earn up to $75,000, that's from zero to $75,000, and you're not a dependent on someone else's return. I'm going to reiterate, you're not a dependent on someone else's return. For 2018, if 19 has not been filed, then you will receive a check for $1,200. If you're between 75,001 and I think it's like 99,000 or something like that, it will ratchet itself back down. I actually created a tiny spreadsheet as a goof last night, and somebody that's a married couple making 198,000 and change gets like $5. So as you make more, you'll get less. Now, a married couple, it's 198,800. I think that's the cap on that. So from 1,200 per person, it'll ratchet down to eventually to zero. You won't qualify. However, if you're a person, single, head of household, you have a child, the child will enable you to receive $500. If you have 3 kids or 4 kids, $2,000 if you have 4 kids. If you're a married couple, that's $6,400. Now, I believe this is only phase 4. I believe there's going to be 2 more tranches to this, which means this could continue for a few more months. I don't know really, but I think they're looking to push this to $6 trillion from the current $2 trillion. Unbelievable, right? Well, that's going to happen. So I think that's very, very important. I like this provision here regarding retirement accounts. A lot of people are going to be stressing out. And looking to, a couple thousand once or twice is not going to help a lot of people. But you can pull up to $100,000 early withdrawal from your IRAs and retirement accounts without having to pay the 10% penalty. The goal is to be able to withdraw those funds and get them paid back over 3 years, or keep the money and pay the tax on the withdrawals. There won't be a penalty on that money under this COVID provision. That's a huge one right there. I have clients, to be honest with you, that pull out money, and I hate being the bearer of bad news when they get hit with that 10% penalty. It's typically only for certain exceptions, medical expenses over and above the standard itemized deduction of whatever that is based on your income, or it's for up to $10,000 for a first-time home buyer, things of that nature. There's a whole bunch of other exceptions. Most of them don't apply to the majority of people, but this one is a big one. So if you have an IRA or 401k, you need to pull out some money, you can do it without penalty and try to pay it back. I think that's going to be an important thing. And you don't have to worry about making a required minimum if you're over 70 and a half. Another good one right there for a lot of people. If you have less than 100 fewer employees, there's a refundable employee retention tax credit against payroll taxes up to $5,000 per employee. I'm not going to get much into that one. Again, that's self-employed with a lot of employees. It's not applicable to the majority of you on my wall. But if you're here and, I don't know, you have a position somewhere, you need info, give me a call and we'll walk through it. It's a tricky thing. So tax credits are going to be provided. 2020 recovery rebates tax credits are going to be provided for individuals in the amount of $1,200 for a single return, $2,500 for a joint return, plus $500 for every child under 17 who qualifies for the child credit. All right, so you're going to get that right there. As I said, it will be reduced. This is the formula. If you want to write it down, there's actually, you can go to some websites online that you can actually do the calculation. 5% of the excess of adjusted gross income. People are asking me that. It's adjusted gross income. I confirmed that on Monday. $175,000 for a single, $150,000 for a joint, and $112,005 for a head of household. So, somebody with $99,000, single person, no qualifying child, it's going to phase out. If you're $146,005, you have one. If you're a single parent with one qualifying child, it's going to level out. You'll get it for the child. So that's based on the 2019 return, only if that's filed. But if it's not filed, then the AGI on the 18 return will be applicable. So if your 18 return is higher and you don't quite get enough, and your 19 return is lower and you would have gotten more, you will see an adjustment in 2020 on those returns. You're not going to get it now. They're not going to cut a second check. I don't think they have the ability to even figure that out, especially since we've extended returns to July 15th in many cases, and some of those will get extended to October 15th. So it's too long a period to be waiting. Get your money, let them make their adjustment. Understand that I can probably give you the exact figures based on your scenario, especially if I'm doing the work for you. So just let me know if I can help. Let's see. It doesn't matter how low you are, you'll still get a check. If you're a retiree, you haven't filed a return because you get your Social Security, you're on disability, they'll use Social Security rolls, and you'll get a check. And the numbers will be a little bit lower based on certain criteria, but that's just the nature of this kind of a deal. Nobody will get a credit for any payment at all, no payment if you're dependent on someone else. So there's a lot of students that don't qualify to be dependent. Either they live at home or they're in a dorm, but they're under 24 years old. And there's a whole bunch of provisions on being able to claim a dependent. So it's very important to understand that one provision. So again, have a conversation with your tax advisor or me or whoever on your situation so we can kind of walk through it and see where you're at. Try to avoid manipulating that, by the way. It's important. Just do the right thing and don't worry so much about a few bucks. Do the right thing. Get your taxes filed. Get the 19s out like right away. I think that's important. Don't wait for this extension period to occur. Let's see. So again, the 18 return will be the point of reference. If no returns have been filed for either year, the rebates will still be sent based on information, as I said, on Social Security and disability databases. And again, that falls to what I said earlier in the week. You're going to get a check. If you don't file, if you're elderly and you just get social, you're getting a check. Your mom and dad will get checks. It's all good. It'll work itself out. And I'm sure there's going to be a way to reconcile that. If someone doesn't get a check and they should have gotten a check, there'll be a way to pursue that. And I'm more than sure I'll be involved in things like that on a regular basis. The payments will be going out electronically. If any tax refund was sent in any manner in 18 and 19, that's where the money is going to go. So if you have an 18 return and you filed it and you got a refund and you gave IRS your checking account and you closed the stupid account, the check's not going to go. It's going to bounce back and then you'll end up getting an actual physical check. It is what it is. If you file a 19 return quickly, it'll supersede the 18 returns and hence you'll get a check. Everyone's going to get a check, so be excited about that. Try to go through a few more things real quick. This is running a little long for me here. There'll be calls going out on that. If you have an incorrect Social Security number on a past return, you're not getting a check. If that return has been in dispute, either a child has been in dispute on the return, it's not been rectified, you're not going to get a payment for that child or for yourself. So if you have anything like that, I'm sure if you have an accountant, he already knows this, and you can get that fixed and maybe get a check down the road. Again, let me go over the withdrawals from retirement. I think this is so important. The 10% extra tax on early withdrawals from IRAs, qualified retirement plans will not apply to distributions up to $100,000. This is wonderful news. Those distributions made in 2020 from an individual diagnosed with COVID-19 or a spouse or dependent with it, or who experienced adverse financial consequences as a result of being quarantined, furloughed, laid off, etc. It's going to be applicable to those people. If they own a business and the business isn't running. The amount can be repaid to the retirement plan over 3 years. I think that's wonderful news. Some of you can do that. If it's not repaid, regular tax on the distribution can be paid over a 3-year period. So there is an income tax. There's not going to be a penalty tax because it is considered income. You deducted it from your income when you put the money in there. Hence, you're pulling it out. There's going to be a tax on that, but we can stretch that tax out over 3 years. Okay, it's an installment arrangement that we make with IRS. It's routinely done. That's not a change in anything. It's just something that they're mentioning that I'm mentioning here right now. So let's see here. This is a good thing. Charitable contributions. If you don't itemize, you can deduct up to $300. It's an above the line deduction. I think that was pretty cool. I'm not exactly sure why that's there. I guess it keeps a couple of dollars flowing to the charities that typically get a lot of money in the course of a year, but 300 is 300. If you don't itemize, you can still get that. I think that's going to be a permanent addition to the tax code going forward. We'll just have to see. Let's see. There's a tax exclusion for employees' payments of student loans. I'm not gonna get into that one right there. Let's see here. Something else that might be important. There is a delay on employer payroll taxes. Depending on the size of the company. It's a complex calculation. Again, reach out to me and we'll figure out if you as a company person that owns a company, it's applicable to you. There's a modification to net operating losses. I like this. Again, if you're in business, many of you understand this one. You can carry back net operating losses from 18, 19, or 20 against profitable years up to 5 years and get immediate refund. So if you have a loss in 18 or 19 and you could not carry it back because the code changed as it did, they've now changed it again where we can go back and modify those prior returns. So again, let's look at that. If you have an S Corp that lost money that has to carry forward, we can now go back to 17 and make an adjustment to that return and adjust everything going forward, however that works out for you. So I'm not going to get into the rest of this. This is a lot of data here. Let me talk about unemployment. This has been a big one. I'm sorry. This is a big one. So hang out for another 2 minutes. So unemployment insurance, here is a temporary pandemic unemployment assistance program. It's going to function like unemployment insurance. And here's what it covers. On this one, I love this. Self-employed individuals, independent contractors, other individuals who are unable to work as a direct result of COVID-19 would not qualify for regular unemployment because of extenuating benefit or extended benefits. They're going to get benefits. It excludes people who have an ability to telework or individuals who are receiving sick leave or other paid benefits. So if you're on sick leave, this is not applicable to you. If you telework, if you do everything over the computer, all of your business is on the computer, and that's the way your business actually is structured, you're not going to qualify for unemployment because you're able to earn a living. It's not necessary to give it to you. People that are unemployed, partially unemployed, or unable to work for as a result of the virus from January 27th, this is back valued now, to December 31st. So if people have already applied, they're already in, they're going to get those benefits for quite some time until this thing clears up or they get back to work. It provides a maximum of 39 weeks of assistance. That's like amazing. And the amount is set by federal regulations and state programs. It can be increased, most states will do this now, by $600 per week for up to 4 months. So 4 months, about 16 weeks at $600 plus the state, what you qualify for in your state. So if you qualify for, I don't know, $500 in your state, now you're getting $1,100. That's a lot of money, to be real honest with you. But that's the way it was tweaked. It wasn't fixed. It is what it is. That's the way it's going to be. They'll pay you more to be home in certain instances, depending on what you earn on a living. The amount of pandemic unemployment assistance provided to individuals will vary. So they're going to tweak that. So be aware of that. At the very least, you can qualify. And I think unemployed independent contractors, I know you guys are breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief. The states have to update their system, so I'm thinking this is probably going to roll out probably the beginning of next week. Some of your states have already done it, so go in there and apply and get your applications in and see what happens. It might be okay. All right, so a couple of things quick. The funding to pay the cost of the first week of unemployment benefits is being borne by the state. So I know New York is waiving that 1 week, like you apply, you get in, and then you have to, a whole week you get nothing, and then the following week you get paid. That's not going to happen. They're going to pay you pretty much that first week. So get your applications in, and I think that's very, very, very important for all of it. So it's going to be it's an emergency that we're in right now, isn't it? So that's pretty much it. I have a friend that I found out today has COVID-19. A good friend of mine, Michael Liano. I want you to please say a prayer for him. He's out east of us. I know him since kindergarten. We know each other like forever. He's a great guy. Couldn't believe it. He's in public works. He works for a school system out east. I think a college, if I'm not mistaken. And he's a manager there. So he's out touching and running around all over the place. And he did catch us. He's home, drinking tequila and eating pizza and having a good time. But again, he's my age, so I want him to be careful. So anybody that's compromised or could be compromised, just be aware that this thing is still out there. I think the restrictions are going to get eased a tiny bit. I think that's terrific when they do that. But I also know that, it's still something that can be caught. I'm not really overly concerned about me because I don't go anywhere, frankly. MJ and I are probably, we're safe and sound here in the house, and I do work from home right now. But all of you guys, please be careful. Let me say hi. Alyssa's here. Hi, Joe, Michael, I think, Mike, I think the HELOCs are applicable, but you have to call the servicer because a lot of HELOCs are, not many banks do them. It's usually the big four that do those. Chase, Citi, Wells, Bank of America typically do HELOCs for their buyers and their mortgagees. So I think you can probably do that, but don't do it on your own. What's going on, Joe? Hi, Catherine. How are you, sweetie? What's going on? Big Todd, Texas is in the house. Greg Little, Irene, Madeline. Hi, Bob. What's going on? Hi, Lorraine. Hope you guys are being safe. Kevin, what's going on, brother? Connecticut is here. Hi, Angela. Doreen, Rosemary. Oh, there's so many. Oh, my God. Hey, Kathleen. Great post from you today. Mark, what's going on, brother? Listen. Hi, Lori. Let's get back to work. Let's start thinking about the future. Let's not worry. It's okay to be concerned. It's not okay to be worried. It's not okay to be sad. And it's not okay to be upset. If you have somebody that has this, my prayers are with you. We're going to get through this mess. It's just a matter of time. If you need my help, for Pete's sake, reach out to me. My phone, I'm not even kidding, is nonstop. I'm working constantly 18, 19 hours a day. So call me, inbox me. We'll get you in. We'll get you done. We'll get those returns filed so you can get on the list to qualify for those checks like right away. I think they're going to start sending them out toward the end of April. My opinion is more likely the first or second week of May before they can institute this thing. I think they want to wait to see how many people file their returns, to be honest with you. So anyway, some adjustments coming up, a little change in how we live a little bit, but I'm okay. You're okay. And I love you guys. I hope this helped a little bit. Have a great night, guys. Share this if you need to. I'm happy to have you share it. Obviously, I'd love it if you did. Be well. Have a great night.